The Book of Disquiet by Fernando Pessoa. Section 264. I know by analogy what it means to overeat. I know it through my sensations, not my stomach. There are days when they've eaten too much, and my body gets heavy, my gestures are clumsy, and I don't feel like moving a muscle. On these occasions, like a thorn in the side, a vestige of my vanished imagination nearly always emerges from out of my undisturbed torpor, and I make plans founded on ignorance. I raise edifices based on hypotheses, and I'm dazzled by what's bound to never happen. At these strange times, my moral, as well as material life, are mere appendages to who I am. I forget not only about the notion of duty, but also about the idea of being. And I feel physically tired of the whole universe. I sleep what I know and what I dream with an equal intensity that makes my eyes sore. Yes, at these times I know more about myself than I've ever known. And I'm every snooze of every beggar lying under the trees on the estate of nobody. Section 265. The idea of traveling seduces me vicariously, as if it were the perfect idea for seducing someone I'm not. All the world's vast panorama traverses my alert imagination, like a colorful tedium. I trace a desire as one who's tired of making gestures, and the anticipated weariness of potential landscapes scourges the flower of my drooping heart, like a harsh wind. And as with journeys, so with books, and as with books, so with everything. I dream of an erudite life, in the quiet company of the ancients and the moderns, a life in which I would renew my emotions via the emotions of others, and fill myself with contradictory thoughts based on the contradiction between the meditators and those who almost thought and who are the majority of writers. But the very idea of reading vanishes as soon as I pick up a book from the table, the physical act of reading abolishing all desire to read. In the same way, the idea of traveling withers if I happen to go near a platform or a port of departure. And I return to the two worthless things that I, likewise worthless, am certain of: my daily life as an inconspicuous passerby, and the waking insomnia of my dreams. And as with books, so with everything. As soon as something occurs to me that might interrupt the silent procession of my days, I lift my eyes with heavy protest towards the sylph who belongs to me, and who, poor thing, might have been a siren had she only learned to sing. Section 266. When I first came to Lisbon, I used to hear from the apartment above ours the sound of scales played on a piano, the monotonous practicing of a girl I never actually saw. Today I realize that in the cellar of my soul, by some mysterious process of infiltration, those scales persist, audible if the door below is opened, played over and over by the girl who is now someone else, a grown woman, or dead, and enclosed in a white place where verdant cypresses blackly wave. I'm no longer the child I was back then, but the sound of the playing is the same in my memory as it was in reality, so that whenever it gets up from where it pretends to be sleeping, it has the same slow finger work, the same rhythmic monotony. When I feel or think about it, I'm overwhelmed by a vague and anxious sadness that's my own. I don't mourn the loss of my childhood. I mourn because everything, including my childhood, is lost. It's not the concrete passing of my own days, but the abstract flight of time that torments my physical brain with the relentless repetition of the piano scales from upstairs, terribly anonymous and far away. It's the huge mystery of nothing lasting, which incessantly hammers things that aren't really music, just nostalgia. In the absurd depths of my memory, I summon up, insensibly, the vision of the sitting room that I never saw, where the pupil I never met is still playing today, finger by careful finger, the forever identical scales of what's already dead. I see more and more. I reconstruct by seeing. And the entire household of the upstairs apartment for which today I feel a nostalgia I didn't feel yesterday is fictitiously constructed by my uncertain contemplation. I suspect, however, that all of this is vicarious, that the nostalgia I feel isn't truly mine or truly abstract, but is the emotion intercepted from an unidentified third party, for whom these emotions, which in me are literary, are, as Vieira would say, literal. Conjectured feelings are what grieve and torment me, and the nostalgia that makes my eyes well with tears is conceived and felt through imagination and projection. And with a relentlessness that comes from the world's depths, with a persistence that strikes the keys metaphysically, the scales of a piano student keep playing over and over, up and down, the physical backbone of my memory. It's the old streets with other people, the same streets that today are different. It's dead people speaking to me through the transparency of their absence. It's remorse for what I did or didn't do. It's the rippling of streams in the night, noises from below, in the quiet building. I feel like screaming inside my head. I want to stop, to break, to smash this impossible phonograph record that keeps playing inside me where it doesn't belong, an intangible torturer. I want my soul, a vehicle taken over by others to let me off and go on without me. I'm going crazy from having to hear. And in the end, it is I, in my odiously impressionable brain, in my thin skin, in my hypersensitive nerves, who am the keys played in scales, oh, horrible and personal piano of our memory. And always, always, as if in a part of my brain that had become autonomous, the scales play, 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 below me and above me, in the first building I lived in, when I came to Lisbon. Section 267. It's the last death of Captain Nemo. Soon I too will die. All of my childhood was deprived in that moment of any possibility of enduring. Section 268. Smell is a strange way of seeing. It evokes sentimental scenes sketched all of a sudden by the subconscious. I've often experienced this. I'm walking down a street, I see nothing, or rather, I look all around and see the way everyone sees. I know I'm walking down a street and don't know that it exists with two sides comprised of variously shaped buildings made by human hands. I'm walking down a street. The smell of bread from a bakery nauseates me with its sweetness, and my childhood rises up from a distant neighborhood, and another bakery emerges from that fairyland, which is everything we ever had that has died. I'm walking down the street. Suddenly I smell the fruit on the slanted rack of the small grocery. And my short life in the country, I can't say from when or where, has trees in the background and peace in what can only be my childhood heart. I'm walking down the street. I'm unexpectedly thrown off by the smell of crates from the crate makers. My dear Cesario, you appear before me, and at last I'm happy, for I've returned by way of memory to the only truth, which is literature. Section 269. One of my life's greatest tragedies is to have already read the Pickwick Papers. I can't go back and read them for the first time. Section 270. Art frees us illusorily from the squalor of being, while feeling the wrongs and sufferings endured by Hamlet, Prince of Denmark. We don't feel our own, which are vile because they're ours, and vile because they're vile. Love, sleep, drugs, and intoxicants are elementary forms of art, or rather, of producing the same effect as art. But love, sleep, and drugs all have their disillusion. Love wearies or disappoints. We wake up from sleep, and while sleeping, we haven't lived. And we pay for drugs with the ruin of the very body they serve to stimulate. But in art, there is no disillusion, since illusion is accepted from the start. There's no waking up from art because we dream, but we don't sleep in it. Nor do we pay a tax or penalty from having enjoyed art, since the pleasure we get from art is in a sense not our own. We don't have to pay for it or regret it later. By art, I mean everything that delights us without being ours. The trail left by what has passed, a smile given to someone else, a sunset, a poem, the objective universe. To possess is to lose. To feel without possessing is to preserve and keep. For it is to extract from things their essence. Section 271. It's not love, but love's outskirts that are worth knowing. The repression of love sheds much more light on its nature than does the actual experience of it. Virginity can be a key to profound understanding. Action has its rewards, but brings confusion. To possess is to be possessed, and therefore to lose oneself. Only the idea can fathom reality without getting ruined. Section 272. Christ is a form of emotion. In the pantheon, there's room for all the gods that mutually exclude each other. All have their throne and their sovereignty. Each one can be everything, for here there are no limits, not even logical ones, and the mingling of various immortals allows us to enjoy the coexistence of diverse infinities and assorted eternities. Section 273. Nothing is ever sure in history. There are periods of order when everything is contemptible, and periods of disorder in which all is lofty. Decadent eras abound in mental vitality, mighty eras in intellectual weakness. Everything mixes and crisscrosses, and truth exists only insofar as it is presumed. So many noble ideas fallen into the dung heap, so many heartfelt desires lost in the torrent. Gods and men, they're all the same to me in the rampant confusion of unpredictable fate. They march through my dreams in this anonymous fourth-floor room, and they're no more to me than they were to those who believed in them. Idols of leery, wide-eyed Africans, animal deities of hinterland savages. The Egyptians personified symbols, luminous Greek divinities, stiff Roman gods, Mithras, lord of the sun and of emotion, Jesus, lord of consequences and charity, various versions of the same Christ, new holy gods of new towns. All of them make up the funeral march, be it a pilgrimage or burial, of error and illusion. They all march, and behind them march the dreams that are just empty shadows cast on the ground, but that the worst dreamers suppose are firmly planted there. Pathetic concepts without body or soul. Liberty, humanity, happiness, a better future, social science, moving forward in the solitude of darkness, like leaves dragged along by the chain of a royal robe, stolen by beggars.